the gallbladder is the vesicula, and the salivary glands. Do you know what that is?
Glándulas salivares.
Exactly. So those are also very important because they allow you to, well, they have many useful purposes in the body, and then they interact with other working systems. Can you read about that too, Mitch, please?
Sure. Interactions working with other systems, with circulatory, absorbs and deliver the digested nutrients to the cells, with muscular, control the contractions of many of the digestive organs to pass food along. With nervous, hypothalamus maintains homeostasis by triggering appetite, stomach growling, digest.
Exactly. There is an interesting concept here, which I researched last night, which is homeostasis. What comes to your mind when you read this word homeostasis? What comes to your mind, Mickey Mitch?
I forget
What do
it.
you think about homeostasis?
Homeostasis.
Can you read it, Mitch, please? Yes, please.
Um, the tendency toward relatively stable equilibrium between interdependent elements, especially as maintained by psychological processes.
Physiological. Physiological. But very good, yes. So it's balance in the body,
Mm,
right? So if you are very hot, you start sweating. If you are very cold, you start shaking, right, to produce heat. If you
Mhm.
are hungry, you start salivating or the stomach growling, right? They say growling like a tiger. It says like a growl. Growl is the noise that lions or felines make. They say they attribute it to the stomach. To they say stomach growling, right? So well, so there is a balance when you have a deficiency in any part of the body. In terms of you're thirsty, you compensate for that. You are hungry, you compensate for that. There is always this homeostasis is the tendency to maintain a balance. Is a fantastic function of the body. There are many systems, Mickey. Which one are you interested in reading? Let's read just one or two more, please. Which one did you find interesting?
mm,
Let me send you the
Probably
link.
the circulatory.
The circulatory system. Okay, let's do
Mhm.
this. Can you please read it?
Yes. Circulatory transport materials to and from cells. Heart, veins, arteries, capillaries, red blood cells.
Okay.
Continue.
Yes, please.
Uh, with respiratory deliver O2 from lungs to cells and drop off CO2 from cells to lungs. With digestive, absorb and deliver digested nutrients to cells. With excretory, kidneys filter cellular waste out of blood for removal. With lymphatic, both transport things to and from cells. With immune, transports WBCS throughout body to fight disease. With nervous, brain controls heartbeat. With endocrine, trans hormones.
Transport hormones, right? Um, for example, the importance of white blood cells throughout the body, right? You know, we have red cells, red blood cells, and white blood cells. They all have different functions, as you remember from your biology classes. But I find all this truly interesting because that allows you to regulate your activities throughout the day so that you maintain a balance, good health, good state of mind, and everything is so incredibly important. Um, I find other two systems incredibly interesting. The nervous system and the one that I found as new. Well, I didn't find it. I saw this. What's this system? Endocrine, of course, and the next one. the what is the name? Integumentary, which includes nails and hair, dermis and epidermis. So all of those are incredibly interesting. Which one are you interested in studying in this moment, Mitch? That'll be our last system today.
Hmm, maybe mm, 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 the nervous.
The nervous system. Okay, let's take a look at the nervous system, please, and notice why it is so incredibly important. Okay, Mitch, please.
Gathers and interprets information, responds to the information, helps maintain homeostasis. The brain, spinal cord, nerve cells, neurons, hypothalamus control all other systems. Hypothalamus maintain homeostasis by working with all systems.
So the hypothalamus is the gland that regulates everything else. And I think the hypothalamus is part of the endocrine system. Let me just read myself. This is the endocrine system, which regulates the body activities with hormones. Okay, here it is. Right? It says regulates body activities using hormones, slow response, and is long lasting. And what is very interesting is that it is in total relationship with circulatory system that transport hormones to target organs. For example, there is a car approaching very quickly, and you are young, of course, and so you react immediately and you jump away and you save your life. There was a hormone that allowed you to do that, to react quickly and save your life. What was that hormone?
Could be adrenaline.
Adrenaline, absolutely. Yes. That is, they call it the hormone of survival because that allows you to run away from a dangerous object or a dangerous situation. So you take a piece of chocolate, Mitch, Mickey, and then you feel this pleasure, this nice feeling. What is that hormone that gives you this nice sensation after taking a chocolate, eating a chocolate?
Serotonin.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, 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 yes. Now, for some reason, you are just before exams and you feel this anxiety, you feel this little nervousness, you are pressure, you are anxious a little bit, of course, and in order to sustain this pressure, you release a hormone that allows you to sustain the pressure, the problems, to resist, gives you some kind of strength. Which is this
Mm,
hormone?
I don't know, but it's cortisol.
Cortisol. Wow, guys, you are very well prepared in the topic. Well, in topics. Very nice. Yeah. So these are all regulated by the endocrine system, and they are connected with many other systems. And I find this absolutely marvelous. I absolutely love this topic. But well, that's one chart that I wanted to share with you. You can read it at length at home when you have an opportunity. And let me make sure that I sent you this. Yeah, I sent it to you, right?
Yes.
And the other one is the this chart that a kid sent to the class last night, and I love it because it summarizes many of the activities by brain. We talked about these once, but I found this chart very interesting. What do you think? Can you take a look at it and give me your comments in general?
Hmm.
Yes.
What do you think about it, Mickey?
Mm, uh, well, like the name says, is the brain lateralization, and in the left, I think that is more focused on the analytical things, and the right, the intuitive things. And I think that is necessary to use both parts because sometimes we only focus on one part, and I think that to have a balance, we must focus on analytical things and intuitive things. And for example, analytical involves math, planning, uh, how do you say this, perception too, and in the right is more like the uh, nonverbal communication, the craftiness, the writing, the art. Uh, I don't know if music is in the right side.
I would say so. I would say so because it is connected to the expressions of your emotions,
Hmm.
uh, the feeling of an artistic performance, this design of an art work. Can be a painting, can be a drawing, can be a musical piece, can be a theatrical play.
Yeah.
So absolutely, Mickey. Yes, it's on the right hand lobe or right hand hemisphere. Very good. Excellent comment. Thank you very much. Mitch, can you share your thoughts about this chart, please?
Mm, well, uh, almost the same as Mickey. Just um, if I can add something, when we work on the better improvement of our brain, we feel that interaction or that process, and will really help us to our quotidian life. We need both to really improve us as a person. Sometimes maybe could be in an academic or professional way, or they also can help us in the relationships between other people and our own values like empathy, solidarity, etc. But I think both are truly important to our better development as humans.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very nice comments. Thank you very much, Mitch. Thank you very much, Mickey. Let me share something with you which I found quite interesting, and that is the sequencing. Sequencing is a series of steps which have a sequence. There are two definitions here, not definitions, two statements here about sequencing. All sequence, which is when you make a recipe, right? For example, one of the students yesterday mentioned three activities that have a one direction sequence, and that is taking a washing the clothes, rinsing the clothes, and drying the clothes, right? You cannot alter the
First,
process.
rinsing.
Rinsing, enjuagar,
Ah,
rinse,
okay.
and the number two, you rinse the clothes, and three, you dry the clothes. There is no brainer here. In other words, you can only have one sequence. You cannot do number one first and then number three and then at the end number two. No, you need to do one, then two, then three. When you sometimes you some activities you can alter the sequence, and that's why they put random sequencing here. You can
Yeah.
get to school through different ways. Not only taking the not solidaridad, the Gomez Morin, but you can go through other ways also. So you can take a random sequencing, not necessarily one sequence of steps, but you can vary that randomly.
Hmm.
Um, can you provide examples of this random sequencing, please? Besides going to Instituto, right? You can go through different routes. Um, in some schools, you can take this class, then you have electives. You can elect, well, maybe this is a forced sequence, right? You have to take math one, or you have to take English two, or you have to take this or that. That's forced. But then here you have an option. You have your electives, right? You have this class, and you can take that if you wish, or you can take another one, right? You can say, well, I prefer to take this one here, and then I'm gonna take this instead, and I'd rather take this. What did I do? Well, I don't know what I did, but well. Okay, so you can take either this or that one. You can choose. So you have different ways to get to the next class. That is random sequencing. So when choosing your classes, some schools give you an option. Other examples, Mich, Mickey?
Mm,
I'm not very sure.
How do you make a sandwich?
Oh, it's
How
it's the process.
the process? Yes, exactly the process. I missed that word. The process. Yeah. How do you? How is the process? Is it a sequential process? Only one forced fixed sequence like here, or you
Mm.
can alter the order of your sequence?
Yes, I think you can alter the order. In this case, if it is a sandwich, itself, of course, the first has to be the bread, and the other ingredients as your chose can vary the order. Then
You
I
can.
think this diagram could vary to thousands, no, hundreds of options.
Exactly, exactly. This random sequencing, Mickey, Mitch, or the order sequencing, I find people very strict with the order sequencing. Is the people that we tend to call, oh, he or she is very squared, right? The teacher is very squared. He wants us to do things in only one single way, but I
mm,
want to have my random sequencing, right?
okay, okay.
And that is very common in the old days. Our parents, our grandparents told us, you have to do this exactly this way. And then the young kids like myself who were a little bit rebellious, I said, but I prefer to do the same thing but in a different way. I was very prone to being random sequencing, to use random sequencing. I wanted to do the same thing, the goal, but I wanted to choose my personal method. So I said, I want to do it in a different way. And that's very normal in adolescents and young people because we are also very creative. So it's incredible how important this characteristic is because there are really many ways to do things. And there are, I think these are the exceptions, the forced or order sequencing. These are exceptions. Of course, they are necessary, like in this case, right? You have a
Mm-hmm.
logical sequence, but also there are many cases in which you have the random sequencing to achieve things. And for me at least, it's incredibly important to determine the difference between these two operations of the brain. I don't know what you think about this, Mickey, Mitch.
Mm, yeah, I think that it's important because obviously both are important, but it is necessary to use both of them. For example, in a math problem, probably it's better to use order sequencing instead of random sequencing. But well, in other parts there are different processes, but in some cases, but I think that, for example, in a math problem, it's better to use other sequencing. And when you do your daily activities or the things that you normally do, well, you can do the random sequencing and use your creativity to, I don't know, save more time or save more effort. And yes, use your creativity to do the activities that you normally do.
Yeah. Well, even in, I agree with you. Um, I am not sure if it is better to use uh, always the, how do you call this? The order sequencing, even in math. I agree that it is important, but there are many ways to do something. Let's solve x in this equation. It's a very basic equation, but let's choose two steps. One sequence would be to subtract the 2 from both sides, right? How do you
Mm-hmm.
normally solve this equation, Mitch? How would you solve it?
Mm. I think it was like put the two left to the edge in the right part
Okay.
size.
Okay,
Um,
pass the independent. Okay, okay, to the right? That's the normal
mhm.
process. Pass
But
the
if it is positive, you have to convert it to negative in this case.
convert to negative. Perfect, that is right. Okay, so that is the first process. Um, Strictly speaking, you need to people needed to do operations on both sides at the same time. Another way to do it, and I'm gonna do it exactly as you said. So 2x, 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 2x equals 6 minus 2. You agree, right, Mickey?
Yes.
Okay. Another way to do it would be to subtract the same amount from each side of the equal sign. In other words, you would subtract 2 from both sides. You would say, okay, I have an equality, so 2x plus 2 equals 6, right? So I need to subtract the same amount from both sides, minus 2 here and minus 2 here, right? So strictly speaking, it's not that you are passing one thing to the other side, but why, right? What is the mathematical justification of that? Whereas in this case, is actually a bit more strict, but much less common. Actually, this method is very seldom taught in schools, that you subtract the same number from both sides, but is exactly the same. 2x equals 4,
4.
right? That's the other way to do it. Then you have the second part of the process. Well, here 2x equals 2, right? 2x equals 4, 2. And then what do you normally do in the left side, Mich Miky? What is the
Mm,
typical operation that follows here?
a division?
Mm,
Yeah, exactly. You agree, Mickey?
yes.
But how do you name that? You pass, right? Pass the
Mm-hmm.
2 under the 4, which is okay, right? You pass the 2 under the 4, and then you get x equals 4 over 2. And then that is how you do it. And the thing is that this is what they teach us at school. And in the second example on the right, the second method would be, how would you explain the second process using equivalent operations on both sides of the equal sign, Mitch?
Mm,
What?
How would you do the process on the right hand side following the same thought process, that you do the same operations on both sides of the equal sign? In this case, if you have 2x equals 4, you would probably want to divide, right? Divide both sides of the equal sign by the same number, right? In this case, you can divide 2x and 4 by 2.
mm-hmm.
You can say, okay, I'm going to divide 2x by 2, 2x divided by 2, and on the right hand side, I'm going to do the same operation, right? 2 divided by 2. Do you agree, Mitch, that you do the same operation on both sides?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yes, right?
I think yes.
Because if you do something on the left hand side, you need to do exactly the same on the right hand side, right? You divide both sides by the same number, and that will give you exactly the same result as on the left. But as you can see, the processes are different. So you get x equals 2, and on the right hand side, x equals 2. in reality, the problem with math is that due to the lack of time, teachers don't have a lot of time. We don't have many hours. We don't have a lot of time to go through the very detailed process. And so sometimes students need to memorize things instead of understanding them. They memorize them, and we do them just one single way. In reality, there are a number of ways to do the same thing, as you can see here, right?
Yeah.
And that is what causes uh, well, many difficulties in learning math. But really, there are many ways to do the same thing. And these are only two examples, but there are three, four, five different ways to do it. The problem is that we don't have enough time as teachers to go through every single thing. And sometimes also, uh, we don't show an application of math. So it's normal that students get bored. They say, well, what is the importance of this, right? Or why should I care about an equation, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes the teachers don't know how to explain it. They say, well, this is a curve for business. Your business is going to grow at a certain rate, it's going to have a slope, and it's going to grow dramatically fast, or it's going to grow very slowly. But they need to make an application of the math to business, to health, to something practical. That's the reality. But well, I wanted to do this just to show that even in math, Mickey, Mitch, there are different ways to do the same thing. Even something as simple as solving a math equation. There are different ways to do it. Uh, and there is when students become like I was when I was young, rebellious. I say, oh, I want to do this in a different way. Why? Because
Hmm.
sometimes it's more effective, because we have our own method of doing things. Uh, so, how do you normally operate in terms of sequencing, Mitch, Mickey?
Mm, I think that I used both. I use order sequencing, right, and random sequencing. But for example, like the example that you said, when I was in the school, in mainly in secondary, um, obviously I saw the topic of equations. I don't know how to say in English.
Yeah, equations, yes.
Equations or uh, factorizations. I don't know how to say it,
Yes,
but
factoring, yes.
and for one moment I felt like I didn't like the math for the same reason because, for example, my dad showed me one process and it was easier for me, but when I showed the process to the teacher, he told me I didn't taught you this process, so where did you get this result? And this kind of things is what makes an student feel like stress or that they don't like the maths in general for these cases.
Right, exactly. That's absolutely true. That something similar happened to me. Not exactly the same, but the story is fantastic, Mickey. Thank you for sharing it. What do you think about this, Mitch? How do you sympathize with broad processes? You use them equally, or you have a preference for one?
Mm, I think, well, I tend to use both. I think both help me to so many things, pretty much. But if I have to tend in one, I think the right one. I use them a little more than the left one. Um, with all the characteristics that it says.
Okay, very nice. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Another item that called my attention yesterday was this one here, cautious. We become cautious when we see a warning signal, when there is a threat, when there is a danger. Our brain system sends a signal that tells us high voltage or deep water or hot element. So there is a warning. and consequently we become cautious, right? Um, what other cases provoke us to or make us be cautious other than, let's say, a car accelerating? That makes us be cautious, right? Become cautious. What else makes us become cautious or prudent besides a car? We see a spider, right, or a scorpion, and we say, "Oh, be careful," right? Scorpion. What else makes us become cautious?
Mm, well, every danger,
Every
Mm,
danger, right?
yeah.
every situation that can put ourselves in danger.
Yeah. For example, uh,
Well,
what? Excuse me.
sorry, teacher.
Oh, it's okay. So, what else? What else can make us become careful or cautious?
Mm,
When
probably
we
fear.
Fear, yeah. Fear, of
when we
course.
take an important decision.
Important. That's true. Also, important decisions. Um, absolutely. Let's make examples of those, of both of them. So, fear. What causes fear?
Mm,
Mm,
When I was a kid, darkness made me feel afraid. I was a little bit afraid of darkness when I was 8, 10, even 12 years old. Uh, Also, loud noises, extremely loud noises, extremely loud noises made
mm,
me become fearful.
I
could be
think
like ignorance of something.
Ignorance
I
of
think everything that our body feels that will hurt us.
could hurt us, right? Something that can hurt us. What can hurt us?
Depends.
Being hurt. Okay, let's say. Well, for me, cutting onions hurts me. Not just I cut my hair,
Mm,
my finger the other day. So being hurt by something like a knife, let's say a knife, while cutting onions. Okay, and that's true. That's true. Something that can hurt us physically, emotionally, intellectually, many ways. But that's a very good example. Okay, so that causes fear. And you mentioned something. I overwrote something. I'm sorry. Okay, important decisions. Important decisions. All right, let's write a couple of examples of important decisions, please. That makes us become cautious.
mm, important decisions. Um, choose your degree.
Okay, that's extremely important.
Uh,
What else?
to make an important inversion of money.
Important investment of money. Of absolutely, that's incredibly important. What else?
Mm, I would say choosing your friends.
Yeah, that's very important. It looks trivial, but it's incredibly important that you choose the correct friends because those friends will give you the right or the wrong advice in your decisions. If you place your confidence in good friends, you it's like planting in good soil, right? So yeah, that's a very important decision. Incredibly important, in particular when you're young. Well, all the life really. It's not just when you're young. You need to be choosing the right friends. That's very important. Absolutely. I agree. I couldn't agree more with that. Yes, Mickey, thank you. And one more decision, Mitch, that you find interesting or important. I'm sorry.
Mm, if you want to get married or not.
Deciding on getting married or not. Yeah, that's very important. Incredibly important. Yes, choosing your partner, right? Your partner
Mhm.
for life or at least for an extended period of life. That's very, very important. Totally agree. Well, those are all part of the element cautious. You become cautious. The other ones are obviously very important as well: planning, math, science, logic, and of course, all the motricity of the right hand side is controlled by the left hemisphere. And the same thing happens with the left field vision is controlled by the right hemisphere, which is truly interesting. Which ones do you find interesting on the right hand side, on the right column, Mitch, Mickey, in addition to the ones that we mentioned?
Mm, mm, there are so many interesting, but probably I would say the emotional truth.
Emotional
Emotional thought.
thought. Yeah, absolutely. Emotional thought. Yes, that's very important. Emotional thought. Why is that so important? And I agree that it's incredibly important.
Mm,
Mm, because it's supposed that the difference between humans and the rest of the human beings is that we can express our emotions, and we can do it in different ways, like in a creative way or writing something, or in general our body shows that we are sad or that we're happy. And, and it's so interesting. I'm not informed about it, but I
mm,
would say that it's
mm,
interesting.
Yeah.
and, and
Yes, Mitch.
maybe, well, that's true. It's very important to express our emotions, and we have our own emotional thoughts, and we not express it with anybody. If we just maintain it to ourselves, if we reprint the negative or maybe also the positive thoughts, feelings, really can hurt our body physically, as emotionally as physically, and that could be dangerous.
Absolutely. Yeah. You people should is not people are not supposed to repress our feelings or emotions. We need to express them in one way or another. I totally agree. I fully agree with you, Mitch. Yeah, otherwise it's gonna cause problems in our health. Actually,
Mhm.
repressing our emotions can be harmful for our health. Actually, very harmful. So it's very important to be able to express them. You can be alone, you can be with friends, you can be with your family, you can be in the church, you can be whatever, but you need to be able, we need to be able to cry, to laugh, to um, to smile, of course, to fear, to express anger, to express disdain, to express all the emotions. We should be able to express all the emotions, right? At length. At length is totally, right? Express your emotions at length. Express our emotions at length. That is totally, openly. It doesn't have to be in public, of course, right? But we should be able to express them with confidence with the people that obviously we appreciate and will not. We fear that people will laugh at our feelings, at our emotions, that they will consider as weak. Not in this generation, but in my generation, boys didn't cry. For example, that was a phrase that mothers, fathers, grandparents told you, boys don't cry. And it made a generation with certain characteristics which are different from the current generation, right? Boys don't cry. That was only for girls.
Mhm.
And if you started to cry, they call, "Hey, you're a sissy, you're a girl, you're oh, he's loud, he's crying," right? And but that was an antiquated thing, very old, right? That doesn't mean that you have to go in the middle of all the public, in the middle of the street,
Hmm.
and cry like a baby. But yeah, because our emotions are something very intimate, as
Yeah.
you guys say, right? But it's funny how the expression of our emotions can people even laugh, right? For example, the other day I was having an online class with a group of people in Mexico, and
Hmm.
there was a phrase like this: the bus left 5 minutes earlier. And then there were many exercises. Yeah, you were supposed to choose the word, choose the right left has left, right? And you were supposed to complete the blank. The answer is not important. What is important is the reaction, right? We started to read, and I says, the bus left 5 minutes early. Oh no, that cannot be. So I says, well,
Hmm.
what's the problem? Well, there's really no problem, right? The bus just left, right? But if you anything with this expression, with this emotion, you will sway people towards your way, right? It's
Hmm.
much easier to convince anyone of anything if you become emotional, right?
Yeah.
And even if you are acting, it doesn't matter. But people like it for some reason. Why do you people like it when you become emotional, Mitch, Mickey?
Um, I don't know because probably when you're emotional, uh, talking about something or showing something, uh, the other person could think that it's important for you or that it's important for or that it's really important because you're giving emotion to that.
Mm. And also
Yes.
could be that, well, as human beings, we are social beings. Then we have to interact with all the, well, with other humans, and the emotion is the one of the best perfect ways to interaction. And if a person see that their action causes an emotion to another person, they're going to feel that they how how can I say pertenece?
Belong.
Yes, belong to that kind of persons, and it really feel comfortable.
Can you please repeat what you just said after belong? The action causes an if the action causes an emotion to another person, he or she will feel that he belongs
Hmm.
to what?
Uh, to that kind of person, they feel comfortable with them.
Okay.
What causes, in this case, a positive emotion. Also could be a negative emotion, but just if that was their goal.
Well, absolutely. I should emphasize that it is true. It doesn't have to be positive. It can be negative. Actually, many relationships are persistent not because the emotion is necessarily positive. The emotion can also be negative. For example, there are many situations in the work at work, for example, in which an abusive boss constantly puts a person down and detriment, and that gives the other person a negative emotion of fear, disdain, rejection, etc. But that emotion maintains him attached to one another. There is actually a psychological term for that. It is what is this term? There is a psychological term for that, but it's a constant negative emotion. But that emotion is feeding that person. Of course, people would say that that is not correct, but you know there are many toxic relationships that endure the time. That is
Mhm.
also bad. Well, I don't want to say bad. That is also common. Uh, the feeling of fear. Talk about this fear. How many of us say, "Oh, there's gonna be a thriller, a terror movie. Oh, well, you know that you're gonna be looking at ghosts, monsters, or something, and that provokes an emotion, and that is not joy. That is fear, right?
Yeah.
However, that uh, provokes or produces some kind of what's this hormones? Yes, adrenaline or some type cortisol or some release of hormones, and that feeling is a trigger to do that action, to watch the movie, to talk to that person that we don't like, even to provoke somebody in school. When we were kids, we needed this. For example, when I was a kid, I had this feeling of adrenaline when I could have a contest, a competition, or even a physical fight with somebody, and that is not positive, but that gives you some type of emotion which you provoke, right? So people who like to fight, people who like to argue, people who like to discuss or debate, and it's not necessarily bad. It's something that provokes you a feeling, right? So what you say, Mitch, is absolutely true. The emotion can be positive or negative, but it's better than be totally um, emotionless or no emotions, right? To have no emotion.
Mm-hmm.
What, what do you think about this, Mickey, Mitch?
Mm,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, being able to express your emotions makes you more empathic with people, even if it is anger. Now, a question that I would like to pose before we finish. I know that you have to go, Mickey, really quick. Is
Yeah,
it
true.
legal to express anger? I mean, legal. I mean, yeah, of course, it's legal, but um, we should we or shouldn't we repress our anger? Because we just said that we should not repress any feeling, right? We should not repress it, repress or not. What do you think about this?
Yes, I think it's very important to express the anger. How can I say? Better if you don't have to hurt physically anyone.
Okay,
You have
yes,
to maintain the respect to the other person who deserve it. Uh, who deserve it. Because the anger, if you repress the anger, I think that's the one which can hurt us most. Well,
yes, yes,
after
yes.
the sadness, uh, it's really liberating. But I think also you have to control yourself to try to not get anger very much. You have to be more analytical and intuitive to try to fix the situation without to get very too many very anger. But of course, if it is necessary, express it. It's a very strong emotion that can be repressed that easy. But if you
Okay.
can fit in it in other way, more pacifically, I think could be better. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. Very, very smart thought. What do you think, Mickey? To be or not to be angry?
uh, yeah, I think that it's necessary to express anger because it's a natural emotion. But of course, depending of the way and how do you express, probably you are angry, but you're not gonna uh, fight with someone
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Yes.
or you're gonna insult them. No,
Yes.
obviously it's good to express your anger because you, how do you say, deliberate?
Yeah. You release it. You release your anger.
Yes, you lose your anger, and it is good because if you accumulate this anger, it could causes so many diseases, and it could affect to your health too.
To remorse, right? Yeah. Actually, one of the consequences, like Mitch says, and as you say also, is that repressing your anger leads to remorse. Then you have this remordimiento, right? Which is
Hmm.
detrimental to your health. So, absolutely. I think we were able to express, to mention very, very important definitions, concepts, and examples of this interesting topic. And well, I don't want to hold you anymore. Miki, I know you have to
No
go to
worries,
Leon,
sure.
but thank you very much. It was, as usual, an excellent discussion. I liked it very much as usual. And let's think of a class when. When should we have our next class?
I don't know because tomorrow is the event, right?
Tomorrow's the event, yes, at 11, but you can arrive a bit earlier. So maybe Sunday or
Um,
Monday?
it could be on Monday, teacher.
Monday, perfect. Okay, very good. Mich Miky. Well, thank you very much for your comments. Very, very
Thank
interesting
you
as
very much,
usual.
teacher.
So,
Thank you very much for
see
your
you
time.
tomorrow. Take care, Mitch, Mickey. Enjoy your
See you
day.
tomorrow, teacher. Take
You too,
care.
teacher. See you tomorrow.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Tell your tell your partners to join us if they can. That would be
Okay.
great if
Yes,
possible. Okay.
Yes.
yes. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you very
teacher.
much. See you tomorrow. Bye. Enjoy.